Okay, hi everybody. This is SharePoint Framework Toolkit, second demo out of our free demo series. And in this part, I will be presenting how this toolkit can be used to boost your SPFx development and also tooling that it uses or are really close to it. Okay, we'll see. So basically, if the slides start moving, I hope, come on. Okay, so hi everybody, my name is Adam. I'm a father of a really awesome kid and a simple dev, nothing special here. If you have any kind of question or need some support, do reach me out directly. Many folks already did, and I answered them. So let's go forward. If you don't know what SharePoint Framework Toolkit is, there was a first part of this demo series where I did the really startup of this tool. So how to download it, what's it all about, what's the beginning section, how this tool can help you start your journey with SharePoint Framework development in general, and with SharePoint Framework in general, not only with this toolkit. But just a small recap. So this is a VS Code extension that you can download from the VS Code marketplace or embedded in the VS Code or from the web page. It's open source and open for contributions. It's built together with Microsoft. So the bigger features we are introducing in the major releases, like now in the V3 and now those that we are applying for V4, we are checking with Microsoft employees if we are on the right track, or maybe there will be a Microsoft supported product that will actually do the same. And if not, then this is our place where the community can jump in and provide this additional tooling. It has a built-in sample gallery, which I present in the last demo. Today, I will maybe, if I have time, show it a bit. Beneath it uses the same tooling as Microsoft does for the scaffolding process, so the Yeoman SharePoint generator. So we didn't reinvent the wheel here. And it uses CLI for Microsoft 365, as its CLI under the hood. So it comes along with CLI bundled. You don't have to install it separately. Similar, like maybe if you use Teams Toolkit, also Teams Toolkit VS Code extension, there's also a Teams Toolkit CLI. So this is like a similar kind of approach. Okay. And why would you use SharePoint Framework Toolkit at all? Well, as you can see, we have a bunch of features that will support you from the very beginning of the process of creating your project to over the coding, extending, managing your solutions as well, delivering, scaffolding a pipeline, production-ready pipeline to make this CI/CD kind of flow for your project, and learning and helping you learn. And now there's an AI assistant, which is your SPFx yellow duck you can always use and have support with SPFx development. And today I will be focusing on the three main pillars in the middle. So the manage, the code, and a bit the deploy. I won't be touching the generating the GitHub workflow and the Azure DevOps pipeline, because these are really huge features and a huge investment we did in SPFx Toolkit and the CLI as well, the CLI for Microsoft 365. So it will be a separate demo, the third one. Okay, and I won't be doing the slides unless something will not work. So I'll now jump to my VS Code. This is VS Code Insiders. That's why it's green, not because we have different VS Code here, but the standard VS Code, just like a beta version of it. It's like an early version. And as you can see here, I have my SPFx toolkit already installed. I downloaded from the VS Code marketplace, and I'm in the context of some project. This is actually a project with a web part project, SPFx web part project, yeah, which is developed by Guido Zambarata, who's with us on this call. So really awesome. And I used his work as my work now, as my example. And since I am in the context of an SPFx project, the SPFx toolkit will present differently than what I presented the last time. So it's already the context change. It's not the welcome experience and how to get started, how to create a new project, but it's, okay, you're in your project. What want you to do now? So I'll turn the help and feedback section since I presented it last time, and today we'll be focusing on the middle areas. The first thing you will see is the account section. Is basically some of those features, and some of the features that are not present now are available when you're logged into your tenant. It's not obligatory. It's not obligatory. You don't have to log in, so you can still leverage some features of this toolkit, like all of the good tasks, or generate even an upgrade guidance or validate guidance for your project, or even scaffold the CI/CD pipeline. But you won't be able to grant API permissions of your SPFx toolkit on your tenant if you're not logged into your tenant. So basically, it won't work. I want to click it now. I'm not sure if it will just crash. Okay, so let's sign in. The process is really easy. it will open the browser for you. As you can see, it also copied that it says device code authentication, and it's already copied to your clipboard, so you don't have to copy it manually. I just paste it, and then I pick an account which I want to use to log into a tenant I want to log in. So I'll be using my dev tenant, and unfortunately I have to type the password since it's very long. I hope I had it right. Okay, continue. Basically approve everything, and then close the browser. And after it's done properly, I hope it is. Usually SPFx Toolkit thinks you're using not VS Code Insiders beta, but standard VS Code, so that's why it launched VS Code, not VS Code Insiders. I'll close this one. But in the meantime, under the hood, as you can see, this area changed. So the account is now bigger, and now I have a new area, which is app catalogs, which is populated based on data from my tenant. Okay, let's see what we have here. So these are kind of the managed part I shown on the slides before. There's nothing very big here yet, but we'll be investing in this area a lot. Okay, so we will so this is like a first steps, and many features in this toolkit is actually first steps we did in some area. I want to improve it. So first we have like your basic information about your tenant, like your main SharePoint page, your admin page, or the page to the web API permissions. Usually as developers, SPFx developers, probably many times visit and don't want to click all of this, and we usually don't remember the URL, so it's just a single click drop. There is a section, the services health incidents that are currently active on your tenant. If I would click on it, it will redirect me to the standard service health issue list. So the issue didn't load, but basically it should load the issue connected with Microsoft Teams. Currently I have on my tenant. In future, we will want this section to be configurable to hide it if it provides too much noise. Then in the middle section, we have the app catalog list. So this basically provides you a list of all your app catalogs you have in your tenant. So your global, your tenant-wide app catalog. And along with that, you have the list of your tenant-wide extensions that are already deployed on your tenant. So this kind of important information for us developers to see what's like tenant-wide deployed and could impact my development or the things I'm doing now. And currently these are only links. We don't support any kind of functionality here, but we want to add additional like retract or remove or maybe redeploy, so promote from a site level catalog to a tenant level app catalog your solution. So more managed capabilities will come here for sure. And also we want to give you a support action that will give you the opportunity, the functionality to create an app catalog. Either it will be either a tenant app catalog if it's not present on your tenant, or a site level app catalog. And also, okay, here's the site app catalogs I have on my tenant, and it also does the links of all your site of your app catalogs you have on your tenant to make it really easy peasy. What's my architecture currently on my tenant? Okay, that I use the tenant for very lot. Okay, doesn't matter. So the next section is the tasks. So these are basically the most commonly used gulp tasks you probably use every day when you're doing any kind of SPFx development. So like the bundle and the package, all of the things that are needed to build this package, which I already created prematurely in this demo, so we won't need to wait because usually those are kind of timely. And also the serve button. There's also a serve option with configuration. If you're probably, let's close this one, where in the serve option we can provide different configurations, basically how we want to serve our project. This is the typical thing we usually do in SPFx extensions, where we provide different parameters or different sites where we want to or lists that we want this extension to be served at this moment. And this tool also supports and understands this config. So if I would click on the serve configuration now, you can see it presents me the same list, and I can click on the serve option I'm interested in, and it will start the standard gulp serve with the specified config. I will terminate this one in the terminal, and it will launch like standard serve command you would use from terminal. So it's a really shortcut, especially helpful when you are new to SPFx development, and all of those kind of hackies, maybe sometimes commands could be hard to find, and here you have all of those that are listed out, and you can just leverage and use them. And then we have the actions. So these are like awesome boosters that are that were created based on typical scenarios and feedback we got from you. What are the most difficult things or challenges you have when doing SPFx development, and we have many ideas and things we want to include here. So be aware that the list will be probably getting longer and longer, or maybe more features will be coming up and more of parts of the SPFx toolkit. So in the first, we can do the upgrade guidance. So for example, this web part I created from the SPFx web part gallery. So I just clicked on the view samples. This is the same sample gallery you can see in the Microsoft adoption page when you would filter for all of the web parts, extensions, and ACEs. And I just created this project based on a sample I found here directly in VS Code. Then I noticed that, okay, this is not the latest SPFx version I want to use, and I want to get what I need to change to basically upgrade it. So this toolkit will not do the upgrade for you, because you could have many custom things that are, for example, compatible with the previous version of SPFx, but not with the latest, and we don't support all of possible NPM packages, but just the standard Microsoft NPM packages that come along with your project. And if we will create the upgrade guidance, it's really quick. You'll get a file which is a step-by-step, all of the things you need to go over, and at the very end you have a summary section with a single script. Usually you have to run, and maybe some small manual steps you have to do to get it all done. And we already want to improve this area to create a code tour. So this will be a step-by-step guidance in code in the places you need to actually change. So this is the improvement we want to create here. Then you have the validate project section. Currently, it will say that everything is okay. So basically, it validates if my packages are aligned with the latest SPFx version. So if I would, for example, change some the standard Microsoft package that comes along when you scaffold as SPFx project to some later version, so not kind of thing you want to support, and probably could introduce bugs. If now I would run the validate project section, okay, now it said, okay, one thing is actually not valid. You're using the 1.16 version. You should be using for your project 1.18.2 because you are using SPFx 1.18.2. And of course, as well, there's a summary section with a single script that will fix it up for you. What's really important here to notice that all of the things, maybe not all, but most of the things, especially in the actions section, are used over CLI for Microsoft 365. So what I said at the beginning with the slide that SPFx Toolkit comes along with CLI bundled, it's because we've leveraged the functionalities that were already done in the CLI, or we first extend CLI for Microsoft 365, so then we can add an additional kind of UI layer or additional improvements or shortcuts to those functionalities directly in this toolkit. But if we would now expand the output and select the SharePoint Framework Toolkit, you will see that basically here you have this, we list out all of the commands we are actually running when clicking on this functionality. So if I would now correct this back, sorry, here. Okay, really awesome. Okay, could be late. VS Code got lost here a bit. Okay, but basically, if I corrected the mistakes, I hope, and now I would click the validate option again. Okay, the SPFx Toolkit says it's valid, and also you will see the same thing outputted in the terminal, the same thing we used. So we used CLI for Microsoft 365 in this feature, and if you would go most of the features here, so in the actions section, you will see in the output the commands. We do it so you will have this guidance how if you would like to use your terminal rather than an UI layer like SPFx Toolkit to support your development. We are totally open about it, and we try to help you here as much as we can. So now you could just copy paste this command and probably run it in the context of your project, thus adding the M365 at the beginning. And the beginning, if the copy paste, one moment, I know what's going on. Okay, now it should work. And terminal. Okay, and if I would run this command here, okay, I would need also to add the output markdown, because this is what we leverage in this toolkit. there's no array of problems with my project, but if you're familiar with CLI, you know that you can specify many kind of output options for the commands, and we usually use the Markdown. So this is the most readable thing we present you in the VS Code output. And as you can see, this is the same report. So you can either use the CLI if you're like a terminal kind of guy, hacky kind of guy, and the terminal is okay for you. If you want an additional UI layer above it and additional improvements and shortcut up on top of CLI commands, you should probably using SPFx Toolkit. And also CLI for Microsoft 365 give you more functionalities in managing Microsoft 365, not only SPFx projects. And this toolkit is only about, boosting your SPFx development and is targeting here. Maybe this will change in a bit, but for now, no more spoilers. Another action we have is the rename. So this is a typical thing we do when we, for example, add a test kind of thing in our name, or we downloaded some sample from some place, we build it. Okay, this is the thing we wanted, and now we want to rename it. I will leave it with new world, and I want to also to have the scaffolded a new ID for it. And as you can see, let's see the Git changes. Okay, besides the reports which I presented before, as you can see, it changed all of the places where it found the last name, which was new in my case, and also generated a new ID for my project, which is pretty cool. And I think what I wanted, and a typical scenario, probably many of you already had to overcome. So what are the areas I need to change? Where are those configs and all of the things that are at least need to be changed? So my web part or extension or whatever will be presented with a new name over SharePoint. Okay, so really cool to have this action here. Then we have the grant API permission. So what was that all about? In the, probably already know, in the package that solution.json, we can specify additional web API permissions that will come along, let's say, when we will deploy this project to our either site level or tenant level app catalog, and then they will show up here in the web API permissions. So then admin can approve them, and our web parts, all of the web parts, all of the SPFx things can now leverage and have these permissions to use those API. Okay, cool. What if we have a typical scenario where we downloaded some sample and we don't want to build it and deploy it on our tenant? Let's say we just want to serve it on our workbench. Yeah, it won't work. If we want this permission to show up there, we either have to add it manually, which is probably not recommended, or basically bundle, package it, and deploy it. So then it will show up in the web API permissions. What if I don't want to go over for all of this process? I just want to have this permission and run it on my workbench. That's why we created the grant API permission. This is a feature that will go over all your web API permissions list, and you can see it will deploy in that. And if I will go back to my web API permissions management site, I should see this to be now approved or rejected. Unfortunately, we cannot approve or reject it for you. Yeah, so this is not something an API can do yet. Okay, the next thing is the deploy project thing. So also a typical action you probably do every time you want to deploy something or redeploy. The biggest improvement here, there's a total shortcut. So you don't have to go redirect to the page, either do it manually, run or type the CLI command or whatever. You can just click here and, click here. And now you can either deploy it to the tenant app catalog or to a site level app catalog, like the PMP demo. And if I go to the PMP demo, okay, it was working still in the background, but maybe, okay, it's already there. So it's already on SharePoint. SPFx Toolkit is still figuring out if it's already there. Okay, it's there. So it's really easy, just a single click and a few seconds, and it's done. Yeah. So a typical use case we do. Now, also, we usually want to extend our project. Well, maybe not usually, but if we're working on a bigger project, maybe it's not only a single web part, but in the context of our solution, we have a web part, an extension, maybe some ACE, whatever. What if we want to extend our solution here with an additional, let's say, an extension? Okay, so probably we need to run the Yeoman SharePoint generator in the context of a project, or we can use this toolkit and have an additional UI layer above it. So I will just say that I want to extend it with a new component. My component, I'm targeting an extension. My extension will be, the name of my extension will be, of course, test. As usual, I do test kind of things. Let's say I want a form customizer, and I will be using React. Cool. We just click OK. And as you can see in the output, we are doing the same thing Microsoft recommends and the Microsoft tooling that is supposed to be used to extend the project. So using the Yeoman SharePoint generator, and that's already done. Yes, it is. Okay, so it's extended. The form is closed, so it had to work. Okay, awesome. So these are the actions and the tooling that will boost your development and will give you a lot of shortcuts, and I hope save you a lot of time. I want to be presenting the CI/CD workflow because this is a huge functionality that allows you to generate a CI/CD pipeline or a workflow either for GitHub or Azure DevOps. I will be presenting in the third demo, but I think I want to point out also is the third area we are improving. So besides you can boost your development using Terminal and CLI for Microsoft 365 and using additional shortcut functionalities and boosters from VS Code, typical UI, you now can also, I think more of us are getting familiar with, chat about your project, and this will help you extend. One thing I forgot. Okay, I will show it later on. I have some time. Not a lot of time. Okay, anyway. Just a few things. So this is a typical GitHub Copilot chat. You can probably, most of you are already leveraging, but now if you have SPFx Toolkit, it comes along with a bit spoiler here. Okay, with SPFx chat participant. And now you can ask it like dedicated questions towards your SPFx development. As you can see, now it's not that GitHub Copilot is responding, but our PMP Parker SPFx Toolkit is now responding to my questions. So for example, I can now ask him to, how can I build my solution to deploy it on my tenant? I don't need to specify that I'm talking about an SPFx project or I want to be using a specific tooling. It's already grounded. So the biggest improvement here is that you probably could do the same things at least now with standard GitHub Copilot chat, but this is already grounded and fine-tuned for SPFx development things. And we come along with a couple of commands. So new and setup are dedicated when you are you're setting up your development or you're creating a new project. And there's also a code command where you can provide a code-related questions like how to create I don't know, React components with web part context. Yeah, probably not the best case, but anyway, still this is a really early beta and we are improving a lot in this functionality. So the dedicated GitHub Copilot chat for SPFx development. So there are many things probably that are not working or giving not the best and fine-tuned and the latest and greatest, but it's not supposed to be this yet, okay? So this was supposed to be your yellow SPFx doc to help you getting started and talking about SPFx context-related things. And as I use the code command, it's not only giving me a response and code, of course, but also actions. And these are the same actions I shown you in the SPFx toolkit. You can directly click from the chat. So this is like a third thing you can use in your SPF when you want to boost your SPFx, so like validate your project. This is the same functionality, so they're all aware of it. Okay, the last thing I want to present are the snippets. So it comes our SPFx toolkit, change language, comes along with coding snippets that will boost your development if you get familiar with them. So I guess there's some introduction you need to go over. But if you start typing SPFx dash, now you have all of the commands that are huge shortcuts for writing code. So for example, I want a standard React component for SPFx development ready, or for example, already with state, and I have placeholders. I just need to rename to the component I want. Okay, also there are some more advanced things like the blueprint of a use context with a hook, okay, or really easy kind of things like a typical graph call, like a starting point for more elaborate functionality, but a shortcut you can already use. And it's not only about TypeScript components, but also if I would change the language to styles, to Sass, the SPFx snippets also have here, so you don't have to remember those MS delivered classes. We have all you covered here, so you don't have to transit between a web page. And also, if you want to extend, for example, this part, web API permission, usually when we don't have it, either we are really pro and remember by heart, or you can find it in the browser, in the web. or you can ask Copilot about it, or you can use our toolkit and you just have a few clicks like SPFx API and it will generate this section for you. And also we provide basic scopes. You don't need to remember them, but the typical scopes user usually as developers use. Okay, I need to speed up a bit. So this is the things I wanted to present. Let's go back to the slides, people, really quick. So this I already showed, and just a quick sum up. Okay. So today I presented how SPFx Toolkit can be used to improve and speed up your coding, know your good tasks, upgrade your project, validate your project, rename, and a lot more. If you are using VS Code for your SPFx development, this is for sure your extension you should be using to help you code. But if you so the coding snippets as well, and all of those functionalities here. But if you are more familiar and more kind of person that want to use your terminal, of course, the very similar functionalities, not all of them, but similar functionalities can be used directly using CLI from Microsoft 365. And here I listed out the commands that should be used to mirror the same functionalities the SPFx Toolkit. So actually, SPFx Toolkit uses CLI to provide those functionalities. So it all depends if you are more into VS Code and UI kind of thing or terminal kind of thing. And now also we introduce the third area, which is chatting about your project, and the GitHub Copilot chat participant that has less functionalities, but also can provide you code advice, so not snippets, not perfect code, but guidance, and also have functionalities that you can generate the validate, upgrade, rename buttons directly from the chat. Okay, so I took a lot of time since I had a lot of time, and thanks for watching, everybody. Be sure to check out repo if you want to contribute to this tool, join our community to chat about it, and happy coding, everybody.